Good evening, everyone, and welcome to When the Shift Hits the Fan. We are the Shifters. My name is Mark Jeffrey, and I'm here once again with my gorgeous co-host, Linda Lehman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a great time of the year for me. I love Christmas, but it's the close of another year, Linda, and I think we've had a magnificent year. I'm just ecstatic with the people that we've met and the growth that I've had in, with our show. I mean, it's getting an international following now, which is amazing to me. And the things that we've gone through in this year, I'm just exploding with joy.
Me too, Mark. I sat down earlier today, as I do at the end of every year, and I start reflecting back on the year and writing down the amazing journey that I've been on. And you're right. What an awesome year.
Yep.
And I went from, I can remember back at the beginning of the year, there were so many unknowns. This year for me has been a year of getting rid of disease and replacing it with great health. The beginning of the year, I didn't know what it was going to look like because, as you know and our listeners know, that's when I was in the discovery mode of my breast cancer diagnosis and getting information that I really wasn't thrilled about the possibilities of having to go through chemotherapy, and it was just going to be a long haul. But I realized, looking back, it was through determination, it was through belief in myself and belief in my body's ability to heal, and my focus on what I wanted instead of what I didn't want. And here I am, and we are at the end of this year celebrating life, celebrating slaying of the cancer, celebrating all of the good, positive outcomes that I could have possibly imagined, and some I even didn't imagine. And so I know that for myself and my family, we're beginning 2014 in perfect health with a clean slate. And I am so excited about that.
It is exciting, and same thing this year. I thought I had a setback for a while there. Again, we thought my cancer had returned, and it turned out that, it was, something that happened, the radiation, and it had affected my body. After 14 years, I'm going, can you believe that? And then finding out that my body just knew what to do when I asked it to. I looked after myself, and lo and behold, it went along just healing itself. So it's been joy. So I'm raising a glass of Merlot to you, my friend. Just in celebrating our lives, but also celebrating all of the lives of all of the people that we've met in our journey this past year. The emails that we got from people telling us how much it meant to them to hear us and to allow them to know that they can make it through certain things. You kind of we sit here every Monday and we chit-chat, like we would. I live in Canada, and of course, Linda's in Florida, but we are so close to each other in the way, in our vibes, if you want to put it that way, but the way that we live and the things that we do, it's almost like there is no space between us. And you know what I'm finding, Linda, that there's no space between us and our listeners either. Throughout the year, don't you just feel this too, that we've all become closer and closer?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. And I truly believe that we are all connected in some way, whatever way our imaginations will allow at this point, and then it can grow stronger. But yes, Mark, our listener, I guess numbers are constantly growing. People are actually reaching out, and I know that we're making a positive difference. We're helping people make some decisions or go in directions that maybe even they didn't imagine were possible at first. We're both getting emails. I get contacted not only from our show, but people who, as you know, I have a daily thought, and I list our show on that, and I list our websites. And some people I talk to say, Linda, I had no idea, or they say, I have a friend who's going through a tough time, either health-wise or business-wise, and it's very comforting to me that we can direct them to this show, and we can direct them to our respective websites, and we actually have information there that will help them. And then we're also here to help them in person if they choose to. And it just fills my heart, Mark, to know that no matter what I do, I know that I'm living my passion, and I know you are too, because we're able to reach out and we're able to help people improve themselves, improve their lives, and even if it's just that we're here as that little dose of encouragement, because the answer is right there within us, and sometimes it just takes somebody else helping us open our eyes to see it, but to see that transformation in others, Mark, it just gives me goosebumps all over, and it just makes me smile all day, every day, to know that, that's what I get to do. That's what I'm here on this earth to do, is to give that dose of inspiration, give that empowerment to someone else, and then see their life light up like I know mine is and yours is.
Oh, you betcha. And, it's funny, too, because when I started Mark's Angels, and we've talked about this, and I don't think we've talked about it much on the show, but when I first started that, it took a lot out of me. Here's the thing. When you, and I know a lot of doctors and people feel this way too, but I wasn't conditioned for it. I'm going to say that straight up. I mean, I went through this process myself, but I still wasn't conditioned to see someone else give up. And give up on the most valuable thing that you have, your life. Like I've seen people give up on jobs and give up on goals, and like we all have and done probably in the past. But this was something that I could not wrap my head around, is why someone would choose to die rather than choose to live. And at first, it was really hard on me. It took pieces away from my soul, and I had to come to terms with that. And having you and my friends and having a forum like this to be able to talk about the positive things and walk away from that for a few hours every week, to come here on Monday night and talk about rising above, beyond all limitations, to understanding that we do make these choices. And we say this, I think, Linda, every single week. Your life is your choice. And you can believe it or not. I know we've said this, Linda. I think I've heard you say this on every show. Whether something good happens to you or bad happens to you, you've made the choice to allow that or to pursue it, right? I mean, this is for me, this is what I bring. When I get beat up by being exposed to souls that will not fight, this is where I can come to and voice what is really the essence of me, which in turn, that darkness and that blackness floats away. So even this show means the world to me.
Oh, yeah. Me too, Mark, because, and I love that we picked a Monday to have this show, because there's so many people out there, and I used to be that way, who dread Mondays, and they set themselves up to have an awful day because it's Monday. And I love coming to this show and feeling our positive energy, and then feeling the positive energy of our listeners coming through, and it's just so uplifting. And I know, and you know, that we can decide what kind of a day we're going to have. And as you're right, we say it all the time, you can choose. I mean, sometimes things happen that might knock us sideways, but we can choose how we're going to react or respond to it, and either mold it into something that's good for us and positive for us, or sit there gloom and doom. I have a real simple, it's kind of a funny example of this, Mark, and I know how, the old Linda would have reacted from many years ago versus the new Linda reacted to it this time. And it is just a cute little everyday example of how we can choose our attitude, choose how to respond to something, and it's really an example of the law of attraction. I have, as everyone knows, I still have a foot in the corporate world and a foot in my own business. Well, I have a team of people who work with me, and so I wanted to send them a little something. And the company I work with has a contract with, and I'm really not trying to do a plug here, and since this is our show, I'm going to just say it like it is. We have a contract with Federal Express, with FedEx. Mm-hmm. And so I was ready to send out the little something that I got for them, and so it wasn't a big deal where we lived before, but so I went online to find where the closest FedEx drop box was to where I live now, and it showed me something.
Well, I can just imagine that one because I know where you live.
I know. So I got it in my truck, and I went tootling on downtown. And Mark, this is an inside joke because downtown, or where I live now, is you blink, you miss it. So where the bank where this drop box was supposed to be is closed. It's no longer in business. So I thought, oh wow, what am I going to do now? And the old Linda would have gotten irritated, would have gotten mad, would have blamed FedEx, would have just gone ballistic because I would have been sitting there. Oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to get these packages out? I just don't know what I'm going to do. And I would have been mad, angry, and fuming. Well, I also, as you know, the distance that I had to go, I make this a dual trip. And so I thought, well, okay, I needed to stop by the grocery store anyway, so I'll go ahead and get that done and just kind of plan my next steps and see what I can do to get these packages out. So I finished my shopping, and instead of turning the way I would normally turn to go out, I went a little bit different way, and it's just like the sun opened up and started shining. I looked straight ahead in front of me. There were two FedEx trucks in the parking lot in front of me. Obviously, one had a mechanical error because they were unloading boxes from one FedEx truck and putting it into another. And so I just pulled around and said, hey, gentlemen, I can't seem to find the FedEx box that was listed on the Internet. Can you take these packages for me? And they said, sure, no problem. Merry Christmas.
There you go. Yeah. But you know what? It's funny, too, though. Here's the thing. In sometimes in our haste and our anger and our, impatience, you might have just got into the truck and went to where you're going to go. But, I know everybody, we hear this a lot. We got to tell you this. We hear this a lot. There's no way y'all can be that positive. Things got to be crap in your lives. Well, I could choose to allow it to be that because I'm telling you, every day I am faced with challenges just like everybody else is. There are times when my business isn't going the way I want it to. It could be my business is really flush for 6 or 8 months, and I start living in that money. And all of a sudden something happens where it's not as flush, or maybe I'm not working it the way I should. Maybe I've backed off a little bit, living a little fat cat life here. It happens, right? And I have to get back on the horse and ride too. But the thing is I recognize those things and I'm able to do it. But I know people think, oh, everything works out for you. You guys just look and there's the FedEx people, or, boom, an opportunity comes and it's perfect and you're making money tomorrow. But the thing is, eyes wide open, my friends. and having an open mind and an open heart about things and believing that the best things will happen to you. I think that's the whole point of it. We are so skeptical about everything that we forget that there is a good side to life and you're entitled to it.
We are entitled to it, and it's right there in front of us, Mark, if we'll, as you said, open our eyes. Just open our eyes and look for it. It's there.
You know what? I'm willing to bet, Linda. I'm willing to bet that there are people on the line here tonight that would have seen those FedEx trucks and not even stopped thinking, well, you know, they're doing that, but they wouldn't do something for me. They would be fearful to even ask. I'm willing to bet that.
Oh, I'm willing to bet it too, because you know what? That little nagging paradigm, Mr. X, was talking away in my head. As I was looking at them thinking, oh, I bet I can take my packages over there. This little voice was saying, oh, Linda, what if they say no? They're not going to take your packages for you. And, you know, most people, Mark, will listen to that negative voice, which is because I was taking myself out of my comfort zone. I didn't know these people. I didn't really know. It could have been, I don't know, it could have been somebody robbed him. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you don't know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. But so I stepped outside of my comfort zone, broke through that little terror barrier, you know, silenced that voice, and just pulled up. Because once I did it, I realized, you know, they're people too, just like me. They're doing their job just like me. And you know, I acted on the opportunity. You know, I could have, I could have seen those trucks, and I could have just said, oh no, I guess I'll just call FedEx and see if they can come pick them up tomorrow, and I'll have to change the labels on them and send them overnight instead of, because I was doing 2-day to save some dollars. But anyway, you're right, Mark. You are so right. I had a choice. I could have listened to the negative voice saying, oh, no, that's embarrassing. What if they say no? Or I could have just stepped over that and said, well, what if they say yes?
Yep. You know, there's so many things. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking, how many times in my lifetime have I asked and it has been delivered and it wasn't what I wanted? For instance, I'm notorious for picking the wrong line when it comes to checkouts. I can bet on my life I'm going to be in the longest line. Why? I ask for it every single time because just what I said, I know. See, in me, I'm going to pick the longest line. So it always is going to be the longest line. Or the paper runs out, or the lady doesn't have cash, or whatever it is, right? It's always my line because I wish upon a star and I get it every single time.
Congratulations, you're so powerful.
I know. So the thing is, though, that's what made me a believer in the opposite of that. Interestingly enough, I thought, if I have the power to be in the longest line or the line that gets held up for the longest amount of time, what other power do I have?
That's right.
What else can I do? You know, so I started, you know, it's funny how the darkness can actually lead to the light. Because I started thinking, what if I'm not lucky? All of my life, I'm Irish, right? And it's always, the luck of the Irish is always a joke because Irish people are not lucky. That leprechaun got us all, that's what it was, right? So all of my life I live within the realm of I'm not lucky. So I always work harder than everybody else because I always think I have no luck. And then people looking at me from the outside in always say this to me, man, are you ever lucky? Everything works out for you. Interesting.
It's very interesting, Mark. And, you know, that's the outsider looking in. You know, nobody sees the hard work that goes on in behind the scenes. You know, luck and lucky breaks are things that we make ourselves. And we make those lucky breaks, we make that luck with the choices that we make, the attitude that we choose to have on a daily basis, the positive thoughts or the negative thoughts that we choose to have. And, people kind of argue quite often, well, it's not a choice for me that, this is just the way I am, or I'm just, as you said, unlucky, or things never go my way. And, even that is a choice. That horrible negative self-talk that just breaks my heart when I hear people say, use it, that's a choice. And it's really fun. And at first, people can make it a game. It is really fun to say, oh, well, maybe what would happen if I changed this? And what would happen if I start out, maybe you say, I wonder what would happen if this good thing, this lucky thing, this positive thing happened instead. When we do that, Mark, I don't know if you, I know that you are aware of it, but if somebody would just try that, some of our listeners would just try that when they catch themselves being negative, having this negative self-talk, or I'm always unlucky. If they would just change that, see how that feels, but then just switch it around and say, I wonder what it would feel like if I were the luckiest person in my household. We'll start there. Or if I'm the luckiest person on my block or on my street. And then start imagining what would it feel like, or what would it look like if I was lucky? What would it feel like if I went to the gym every day?
Okay. If that was a dig at me, Linda, I'm trying, okay?
No. That was a self-confession on my part. We got down to 60 degrees today, so I didn't go outside, okay?
Well, I think we were about the same temperature up here, actually. It's melting. So, well, you know what?
That's my point. Where I'm going.
Yeah, I get it. You know what? I mean, I know, I'm going to say this straight up. I know that when you're down, and I mean, your face is planted in the ground, and you can't see anything from down, that it's hard to see anything other than that. And you know what? Linda and I are really going to get into this come the beginning of the year, because we've realized now that you need some tools. You really need a step-by-step process. But also, because Linda and I work as entrepreneurs, we're going to be working with you all too. And we've gotten a lot of people asking us this, is that, I've started this business, and yeah, I'm learning the marketing, and, I'm on Facebook, I'm doing some courses with this, but I can't keep my head in the game because I don't see the results. People are promising me this stuff. I think I don't have any brains because I can't figure it out. Well, Linda and I have figured it out. Okay, but it wasn't an overnight. It wasn't an overnight success. It's taken me 5 years to get to where I am right now, where I can comfortably say whatever I choose to do, I know I'm going to be successful because I now have the tools, the skills, to make it happen. When I first started off, though, I didn't. And the one thing that, just watching my Facebook threads and my forum threads and things coming through to me, that's the one thing that we both have found is the missing link, is when you're brand spanking new, what do you do? Step by step. When I get up in the morning, what should I be doing? It's easy for me to whop off this, okay, get your blogs done, do your videos, do this. But you know what? How do you work the camera? What do you say on camera? It's the fundamentals. We're going to get into that next year because we know that is the stop to almost everybody's start.
And I'm excited about it, Mark. And I know as we go through this and really pulling together our, if you want to call it, our keys to success, the things that have worked for us and worked consistently, as we go through that, I know that we're both going to continue to learn. You know, it's like you do something sometimes, and you may not know exactly why you're doing it, but then when you turn around and you teach it to somebody else, I mean, my light bulbs always pop. Even when I'm coaching someone or I'm doing a workshop or something like that, I'll say something and I'll go, oh, wow, that's so good. I get it.
Well, I know you and I even do that a lot after the show. You guys, we always talk and you know, how did you feel about things? But we're always going, oh my gosh, you know, I just really didn't realize that or even think about that until that moment. And that's why we know that this is missing. And I mean, I'm fortunate because in the company that I'm involved with, I teach the basics every Tuesday night. And it keeps me at that level. And the people asking me questions are asking me at that level. So I know a lot of people say, you know, and a lot of people have asked me, no, you need to dumb that down because I have no idea what that even means. It's made me have a different perspective. So again, I'm fortunate because I've had that exposure to those people that allows me to say, whoa, man, where I thought I was being basic, I was like way out in left field on it. And most people are failing in their home business, whether it's, you know, the Tupperware lady or the, you know, Arbonne lady or the, you know, Stella and Dot jewelry, you know, whoever they are, to online marketers. That's the missing part of it, is the start. And what happens is, you know, 6 months or a year into not getting the basics, then they're struggling because they've spent a lot of money on things that are above their pay grade, and they're not getting the results. And now what do they want to do? QUIT.
Yes, exactly. And then they think that they're a failure. But I have to say, Mark, you know, and I truly believe this, the only time we truly fail is when we QUIT. We give up.
Yep.
Otherwise, you know, those are just what is a perceived failure is just it's not even a roadblock. It's just a twist in the road to go a different direction. And it's if anything, we learn, oh, well, I won't do it that way next time. I'll do it a different way. You know, you were saying dumb it down, and you know that I've been in healthcare for a long time, and one of the things that when we had someone new come into like a medical practice or something, there are tons of acronyms that we use. And so when I was teaching a customer service little mini seminar at one of the health systems I worked with, I started blurting out something that we do every single day. And it's going to confuse the listeners, but it'll make the point. And it's something that we would hear every day. You know, Sally Joe, did you check the LMRP and get an ABN for that CBC? And you know,
I think it's something about blood. That's all I know.
But it's the same thing. You know, sometimes we get so far ahead that we forget. Oh, wait a minute. Let me take a step by step from the beginning. And explain exactly what this is, so that we have full understanding, so that the person listening has understanding. As what is it Stephen Covey said? Seek first to understand, and then to be understood. Yeah, that's what we're here to help people do. We want to understand where you, our listeners, are coming from, what you need, and we're going to give it to you.
Yeah. We definitely are. Well, here we are, my friends. We're at the bottom of this half an hour. And I also want to raise a glass to each and every one of our listeners and to let you know that no matter where you are, there is an up. Now, if your face is planted in the ground, if you're halfway there, or you're, way higher than you've ever been in your life, there's still an up from there. And you can have it if you choose. If you choose. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen overnight, but I am going to bloody tell you right here and right now, it's going to be worth it. Linda, the last word, my friend, is always yours.
Oh, thank you, Mark. And in this wonderful festive holiday season, what I would like to remind our listeners, even if your faith is planted deep in the ground, the very, very first step is to believe in you. Because Mark and I do.
Exactly, we do. And so with that, my friends, we wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. And we will see you in the new year with some new stuff. And we're so excited. So from here in Canada, good night, everyone.
And from down here in Florida, good night.